Hey everybody, Jonas Schwartz in Studio 41 at SNY's downtown studios. Happy to be alongside SNY NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano. We're talking, of course, about the big trade this morning that the Giants made, shipping Jason Pierre-Paul to Tampa Bay for a third-round pick. In addition, the team swapped fourth-round picks. Giants shed a lot of salary as JPP was scheduled to make $17.5 million this upcoming year, and he had not been altogether that productive in the past year, and clearly was not a fit for the 3-4 defensive scheme that new defensive coordinator James Bettcher will be bringing in. Ralph, what's your instant reaction to this trade this morning?
Well, I certainly was surprised when I first heard about it. I didn't know of anything that was on the radar as far as Jason Pierre-Paul being on the market, but Dave Gettleman is making it very clear that he is willing to do whatever it takes for this team to win. He is also not afraid to get out of bad deals from years past. And I think that was, from what I'm told, the real instigator here is that Jason Pierre-Paul had a big contract given to him when Jerry Reese was the general manager. It was given a little out of desperation when they were trying to quickly get this defense back together. And it was going to cost them a lot of money in future years that they're going to need for the likes of Landon Collins, for Odell Beckham Jr., and more than anything else, Jason Pierre-Paul was not living up to that deal. So they found a taker. They got an extra draft pick, a pretty high draft pick in the third round. All of that is good. They get out from the money. It's just a deal that I think that Dave Gettleman could not pass up.
All right, so let's start to unpack this. There's a lot of layers here. If there had not been the switch to a 3-4 defense, do you think they make this move? Because hearing all your points about freeing up money for Odell and, and the fact that he had not performed or lived up to the contract, he still brought an ability to rush the passer when he was right. Now he doesn't fit the scheme. Is that really the reason why he's gone here?
Well, I think that's part of it, and not necessarily that he doesn't fit the scheme. He is a guy who, he's basically the same guy as Olivier Vernon, and Olivier Vernon at this stage seems to be a little bit more athletic, a little bit better able to drop back into coverage. They have brought in some guys who can play the edge in a 3-4. Kareem Martin, a linebacker that they bring in, could be the edge rusher there. So Jason Pierre-Paul and Olivier Vernon really just duplicated each other at this stage. So I think they felt Vernon was a better fit than JPP. If they were still a traditional 4-3, would they stick with JPP? Well, they'd probably do a lot of things differently, but I think Dave Gettleman probably would still feel the same way about his contract and his performance.
All right, so we know about the contract, the big savings here. You mentioned Landon Collins and OBJ. Is it safe to assume that money gets just redirected now instantly into long-term deals with those guys?
Well, probably not instantly, but I think eventually it will be redirected towards them. These are two players that they absolutely want to have as part of their long-term future. For all the controversies around Odell Beckham, they made it clear that at some point they expect, as long as he's healthy, he will sign a long-term deal with them. They need cap space for that. The numbers for Jason Pierre-Paul in the next couple of years, I think, were $17.5, $19.5 million. That's a big savings to get that off the books. And I think, there's other things they can do as well. But right now, if they want to have an extension in the shorter term for Collins or for Beckham, the possibility now exists. Now they can actually afford it on the books.
All right, what does this mean for the Giants when it comes to the draft? Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation. Would they take a quarterback at 2? Would they go Saquon Barkley at 2? Now with this trade, boy, Bradley Chubb seems to be in play, at least from the outside looking in. What does this all mean for the draft?
Yeah, the Bradley Chubb speculation took off almost as soon as this happened. Everybody said, well, this is the best defensive player in the draft. The Giants clearly are going to take him. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think they have a lot of options here. The Jason Pierre-Paul trade, I believe, was independent of that. They may still end up with Bradley Chubb in this draft, but I don't think getting rid of Jason Pierre-Paul now meant that, okay, we're definitely clearing the books so we can get Bradley Chubb in here. I think he could possibly be in play. More likely to me, if they traded down, he would be in play. That's certainly a possibility. I still think a quarterback is something they're going to seriously consider, as well as Saquon Barkley. You can't rule that out.
I was just going to ask you, do you think this increases the likelihood that they trade down? Because if Chubb is the guy, you could not stay at 2 likely to get him. Chances are the quarterbacks will go at the top. If not a quarterback, then Barkley. You could trade down, say, with the Broncos to 5, pick up extra picks, and probably still get Chubb.
Yeah, I don't think that Dave Gettleman is going to be afraid of trading down at all. To me, the issue with trading down is going to be who is making him an offer and how good is it? We've heard a lot over the last week about the Buffalo Bills with the 12th pick and the 22nd pick. They are desperate to move up, according to multiple NFL sources. They want a quarterback. I don't know that Dave Gettleman's going to want to drop all the way to 12 unless this is really a blockbuster offer. But if the Broncos at 5 come calling, well, suddenly you can drop to 5 and still end up with a Bradley Chubb, maybe a Quentin Nelson if he wants to guard. You have a lot more options because there will be a run on quarterbacks at the top of this draft. So if Chubb is now a player that they're looking at more seriously, he might look at some of these offers a little more seriously as well.
But you still believe that they are heavily considering taking a quarterback at 2?
I think that is a big consideration. I think that the two things that will make a difference for the quarterback are going to be, do they love any of these quarterbacks? And from my understanding, they are still in the evaluation process. And what do they feel about Davis Webb, who they drafted in the 3rd round last year? That's the only picture for me. They know with Eli Manning at 37 years old, they need to have an answer for who is the quarterback of the future. It's going to be either Webb or one of these guys in the draft, and they're still trying to make up their minds on that.
Well, it leaves nobody from the drafts from 2008 to 2013
That is amazing.
on this Giants team, which is really why Jerry Reese is no longer here more than anything else.
Yeah.
Dave Gettleman is to beef up this roster. Ralph, thank you so much for the information. Ralph and I are just getting started here throughout the day on SNY. Daily News Live at 5 o'clock, Loudmouth 5:30. We'll have much more on this, and also Geico Sports Night tonight. Much more on this trade and also on social media all throughout the day. So for Ralph, I'm Jonas. We'll see you along the way.